Hello, this is our poetry analysis of To Autumn by me, William, and Sarthak.
This is the audio.
To Autumn by John Keats. Season of mists and mellow fruitfulness, close bosom friend of the maturing sun, conspiring with him how to load and bless with fruit the vines that round the thatch eaves run, to bend with apples the mossed cottage trees, and fill all fruit with ripeness to the core, to swell the gourd, and plump the hazel shells with a sweet kernel, to set budding more, and still more, later flowers for the bees, until they think warm days will never cease, for summer has o'erbrimmed their clammy cells. Who hath not seen thee oft amid thy store? Sometimes whoever seeks abroad may find thee sitting careless on a granary floor, thy hair soft lifted by the winnowing wind, or on a half-reaped furrow sound asleep, drowsed with the fume of poppies, while thy hook spares the next swath and all its twined flowers. And sometimes, like a gleaner, thou dost keep steady thy laden head across a brook, or by a cider press, with patient look, thou watchest the last oozings hours by hours. Where are the songs of spring? Aye, where are they? Think not of them, thou hast thy music too, while barred clouds bloom the soft dying day, and touch the stubble plains with rosy hue. Then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn among the river sallows, borne aloft or sinking as the light wind lives or dies. And full-grown lambs loud bleat from hilly bourne, hedge crickets sing, and now with treble soft the redbreast whistles from a garden croft, and gathering swallows twitter in the skies.
So, To Autumn is written by John Keats, who is an English romantic poem. He was born in 1795 and he lived to 1821, only approximately 30 years because he led a short life. And the biggest thing about John Keats is he had no formal literary education. He did not go to university or any formal schooling. And his poems mainly revolved around the notion and ideas of exploring the desires and complexity of the human heart. And through this, he wrote around 3 poems that played a very important role during the Romantic movement by redefining the boundaries of poetry with his unorthodox style. So this includes his vivid imagery and personification that was unusual during this time.
So the summary of this poem, To Autumn, explores the nature and beauty of the season through comparisons and literary elements. In the first stanza, the author uses personification, specifically of the sun, and asks it to help the produce grow as if it was a close companion. In the second stanza, the author takes a stance of an observer and uses vivid imagery to observe the end of the harvest season. And in the last stanza, Keats uses a description of melodies through different animals, for example, when the hedge crickets sing and the wailful choir of the small gnats mourn. And he uses this to bring light of new perspectives. And while these 3 different stanzas have different themes of autumn and they're different times of autumn, collectively they create a vivid image of the season, and they show beauty in both small things and large picture.
In terms of the elements of the story, this poem takes place on a farmland because it regularly emphasizes the development of crops. Examples of this can be seen where the poet describes moss-seed cottage trees and granary floors and stubble plains. The characters include the autumn and the sun, which were both shown through their personification, and the speaker. This can be seen through the author using texts such as conspiring with him how to load and bless, and like a gleaner thou dost keep. The plot for this poem is actually pretty straightforward as it follows a chronological order. The rising action shows what happens before harvest. The climax shows what happens during harvest, and the falling action shows what happens after harvest. The main conflict within this poem is mainly the qualities of both birth and death of the autumn, which can be shown through the author writing with a sweet kernel to set budding more, and then in a wailful choir the small gnats mourn. The narration of this poem is in third person through a speaker, and the structure follows a chronological order.
So this poem's figurative language is when autumn is compared to a gleaner, which is someone who is observant and quiet. So it's done in, for example, and sometimes like a gleaner thou dost keep, which is saying that autumn is observant and quiet, and it's characterized by serenity and peacefulness, just like the entire poem. It creates a relaxed and peaceful tone, vividly describing the natural processes that occur during autumn. For example, the soft lifted grains of wheat lay sound asleep. The entire poem is characterized by this relaxed, peaceful tone, as autumn is just a peaceful season. The entirety of the poem is symbolized by autumn. The entire autumn is personified as a person throughout the entire person, and vivid imagery is used to evoke perceptions of sight and smell, mossed cottage trees, and winnowing wind.
The main purpose of this poem was that autumn peacefully comes and goes, bringing the vivid cycle of life along with it.
And our claim is, in the poem To Autumn by John Keats, the author personifies the season of autumn to convey that autumn, like all aspects of life, peacefully comes and goes, bringing the vivid cycle of life along with it.
Thank you.